There's only a couple of AAA games out there that actually give PlayStation 5 owners 3 choices on graphics. The only other one that comes to mind is Grand Theft Auto 5, the PlayStation SSD version, and of course Ratchet & Clank Rifts Apart. I am CouchCube, and this is going to all be in the RT mode, meaning 60 frames, but not 4K, and not 1080 apparently, but dang, it looks crisp. I think you'll be impressed. Having just said all that, once we get over to the photo mode pans, okay, so not technically in-game here, the editing software I use is showing me that it's dipping to 58, 57, only on these dollies. In-game is a little bit smoother, and I do want to just say everything about the character model, the idle animations, and all of the weapons ticking over when they're not being fired, the way they are modeled, it is market-leading, industry-leading visuals in this third-person ARPG. Everybody knows that the Ratchet & Clank series is super famous within legacy PlayStation machines, and it did start out as a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Like with God of War and Returnal, they've slowly made their way over to PC. There was a rather amusing anecdote. Prior to the game launching on PC, there were rumors that it didn't need the SSD to actually run. Insomniac and Sony had tried very hard to sell this whole change in universe, biodomes, whatever you want to call them, was something that was using the majority of that SSD power, and it was needed for the game to run correctly.
I am both frustrated and excited. We must stop them before they reach the picture.
Turns out they were absolutely correct, and you do need a solid state drive in order for this game to make the load times that are actually within level, as opposed to fast traveling or standing in a lift for 3 minutes. Mass Effect. The people on socials that caused the most stink about the whole situation before it was announced that that SSD is actually essential to be able to play the game properly were Xbox console owners. I think deep down they were A, salty that this game is never going to be available to them, and B, happy that Insomniac and Sony's marketing was a load of BS. It was funny AF, and they took a massive L, and they don't like being reminded about it, which I often take the opportunity to on X.
Fixing is a vague and fleeting measure. Destruction is our natural state.
Ratchet & Clank Rifts Apart came out in 2021, and it was one of the first major AAA titles to come out with the system. Just about every piece of PlayStation 5 marketing had a clip of this game in it, so it was very much grabbed by the majority immediately. As you can see, it's quite an adorable, child-friendly action role-playing game. It feels like a super accessible Returnal. Far more hilarity and variance on the weapons. This game runs like a Pixar cartoon, and its ballistics, explosions and fragments are some of the best in the genre. It's that perfect pitch, and Insomniac probably know this, to appeal to the entire family. We're just going into this photo mode very quickly. I didn't dwell on it too much. It is phenomenal. This made my best looking PlayStation 5 games of all time list. I will link it, so I don't want to drool over all of this detail too much. Just a bit. We'll just drool a little bit. But as mentioned at the start, this is even worse, with more frozen enemies on screen or even halfway through explosions. Yeah, I do not get a peg 60 when doing my photo mode pan. But these shadows and reflections, pure color as well, the HDR is completely grabbed. It's one of the more vibrant games in its class also.
Phase him!
You might be asking yourselves, why am I reviewing a game that is coming up to 3 years old? Well, I want to get every PlayStation 5 bracket almost exclusive on the shelf, i.e. on the channel in its own index, so that you can search and look for any PlayStation 5 standalone review. When I talk about these games, normally they get put into lists and I only get 4 or 5 minutes to talk about them and show them off. I feel Ratchet & Clank Rifts Apart should at least get 10.
He is friendly, I promise. And once we build the Dimensionator, he will help us find Dr. Nefarious.
The design of the game, a little bit like the God of War new material, tries very hard not to appear as a railsy, corridor sort of based, beat 'em up, little bit of shooting. They like to put in choice, and you're given the chance to go to different planets. Think Outlaws, but again, you are shoved down quite a few corridors. This is far from an open world game. Got a very healthy idea with different planet biomes, very recognizable scenery, and even indigenous enemy types and tailored enemies attached to those locations. Ratchet's got this iconic little hammer, which is on square button. There's no combo to it, and it's something you need to be using only if stuff is directly in front of you. The game leans on its projectile weaponry. It unequivocally holds the crown for ludicrous weapon type. Borderlands is just below, but the Ratchet and Clank series, particularly this one, has got some amazing variants on some really awesome traditional weapons and powering up some cool new ones. There's a huge skill tree around each of the weapon skills, and you can start pumping different points into areas to turn it into almost something else.
Our planet crash. Little circles spotted the remains.
There's also quite a few unlockable outfits for the little rodent, and with this one it comes with a female edition companion which you switch out to depending on what location you go to. There's not too much difference. She does have grav boots as opposed to that traditional head. Just back to that third person ARPG, particularly on the shooter front, if you have got still your returnal muscle memory with this, you are going to be flying around like some sort of invincible fairy of death, trust me. The dodge move, which has got a huge immunity window on it, it's on circle. You've also got a speed move on the R buttons. You would never have to be standing still, and you can get out of the way of everything. There is no sort of time reward for parries or dodges. That's one thing you've got to remember. No auto aim, no click in to look at something, and no warning from wherever the hits are going to come from. There is no minimap, no vision cones. And I think that actually works. It frees everything up. It's quite liberating. It just lets you go crazy. You can only go as fast as you can operate that camera and run that little guy around, which turns out to be pretty damn fast. You will end up gravitating to particular types of weapons, and the game comes with 2 weapon wheels, I think both with 8 different items on them, so you can slot those out according to your favour. The more you use a weapon, a bit like the old Skyrim mechanic, the better the level of upgrade becomes that you can then purchase. I like getting rewarded for using something frequently that I enjoy and having other avenues open up because of said reward. It gives a cool angle of intrigue to see what it's going to turn into, or what you've got coming up next on the upgrade front.
Ahoy there! What? Your trial awaits!
I think if you've never seen or played this game before, you are going to be knocked back by these interiors and graphics and pace. I spent quite a lot of time with Insomniac's most recent game, Spider-Man 2, and I was expecting, when going back to this after 2 years, to be a little bit put off or looking at some of these visuals through the optics of age, but no way. There are areas in this game where I'm thinking 2024 has not affected you remotely. I'm also thinking, what the hell is a PlayStation 5 Pro going to do to this? Get it to 4K and 120 frames per second if you've got the correct TV, but it will be 4K 60 FPS. We do have 60 with this RT mode, and to tell you the truth, the quality is not that bad. I'm going to show you a little bit towards the end of the video. It's just I cannot have any frame fluctuation during the combat. That does happen with that 4K mode. Also completely unskippable cutscenes, but they're not that lengthy, and when they're this well animated and voiced, it's not too bad.
No, it's me! It be me! Quantum, see?
Ye will pay for defiling our captain's head like that.
But when you get to 45, the sun's out, it's a Saturday, and there's girls in the pub, and you're watching stuff like this, you ask yourself a few questions. You'll have the last laugh, Coop. You'll be the greatest standalone PlayStation 5 video game reviewer on the planet. Yep, that's definitely happening.
Leave it to me.
I do also want to conclude that this game is available on PSN Extra. That's the mid-tier subscription service. The older games are available on Premium, and if you weren't aware or if you got really into this on its initial launch, I recommend looking at them. They're still just as sweet. You've just got some lower textures. The magic is still there, and I'll say that for the Jak and Daxter games. I might as well throw Beyond Good and Evil in there whilst I'm at it. Where the hell is that sequel?
Yep. Plutonium factory, so we can thank you in person.
And sticking on the PSN Extra theme, Miles Morales is available. So that's the one after Spider-Man 1, between that and Spider-Man 2. And it's got ray tracing, it's a beautifully smooth and massive open world superhero game, and from Insomniac also. So both of these are well worth having on your SSD. Here is some of that quality mode, by the way, and this is uploaded at 1080, so you're not even going to get to see that crisp resolution. And it didn't actually duck too bad. I just want that RT and 60 frames. A man's entitled to that. I was, of course, Couch Coop. I'll leave you with my trademark slow walk through some beautiful scenery. As with Outlaws, we're going to see a patch for Space Marine 2. That's why I'm not jumping on a review of it yet, because we're just about to turn a corner on an update. And Xbox owners, don't feel too bad. You know, you got Redfall, Quantum Break, the list goes on. They got Gears, Coop, Gears of War, the best split screen on the planet. Fuck it, yeah, I'll see you down there.
Because mainstream outlets have often weaponized that against toxic fans.
You'd hope to see some progress. Guess it's a little disappointing.
Woke ideology under attack by a digital female that's fucking stacked.
Is the game so basic and aggressively shallow that it might be a scam?
도망쳐, 이브.